This week, World of Whitetail tackles the mixed terrain of northern Idaho.
There's a plethora of wildlife out here to see and hunt.
This is serious, determined glassing. You really have to concentrate, get steady, and use your binocular for a thorough sweep. Joe, I got that buck. I think I've got our 5x5 from last night. All right, we're live.
Yeah, you never had it?
Maybe this one. What's this buck?
Dead deer. That's a nice little rock on here. Beautiful.
Winchester's World of Whitetail.
Winchester's World of Whitetail is brought to you by Winchester Ammunition, the American legend. Ram. There are a lot of places to go in this big wide world, and the new Ram Outdoorsman can get you to every one of them. Cabela's, celebrating 50 years as the world's foremost outfitter. Bushnell, magnify life. Dallas Safari Club, promoting conservation, education, and ethical hunting worldwide. Mossy Oak. It's not a passion, it's an obsession. And by Otis Technologies, the most advanced gun care systems in the world.
How long would you travel to go whitetail hunting? Most of us don't mind driving a few hours, perhaps a day or two. Well, I know someone who came for a year and a half to get here to hunt whitetail deer, the Lewis and Clark expedition. Of course, they weren't coming out to Idaho just to hunt whitetails. They were looking for a route to the Pacific. However, we at Winchester's World of Whitetails have come to the Flying Bee Ranch in Idaho just for the whitetails.
Tucked in the rugged confines of Lawyer Creek Canyon outside Kamiah, the Flying Bee Ranch boasts 5,000 private acres smack in the middle of the Nez Perce and Clearwater National Forests.
As soon as we get over this edge, it's going to drop into the draw that we're going to be hunting to start with. It's going to have a nice ridge going out that we're going to be on and looking down into the brush on the other side. There's going to be definitely quite a few mule deer in there, but then we'll see whitetails as well. Flying Bee Ranch is North America's most versatile outfitter. We provide family recreation both on our 5,000 acre ranch and on our 740,000 acre National Forest Special Use Permit area.
They've got upland birds. You can hunt chukars and huns and pheasants. You can go up into the trees and go for blue grouse and ruffed grouse. There's a plethora of wildlife out here to see and hunt. I can't think of a more enjoyable place to have a whitetail adventure. This is obviously good, dense, deciduous brush whitetail habitat in here, but there's a big reason why we're glassing from up on those mule deer slopes. You get down in these little chutes and strips of wet cover. We know that it's whitetail habitat, but getting inside of it to hunt them is just darn near impossible. Now, you might be able to rattle in another week when the bucks are starting to get active, and maybe in the winter you could track them. But boy, early season like this, stay high, stay in the open, and glass to find out where they're living, and then make a stalk. And that's classic glass and stalk whitetail hunting. I am always interested in what's going on before me. Hunting is an incredible heritage going way, way back. So when I come into a valley like this and learn that the native peoples, the Nez Perce, were hunting in here using decoys, we think decoys is something new in hunting. Wasn't the case. Lewis and Clark, of course, they knew all about stalking whitetail, so I'm sure they were prowling through these valleys and up these draws, stalking whitetail and mule deer the way we essentially do now. We've got some advantages with our new equipment. Good optics, accurate rifles, and that incredibly accurate ammunition really helps reach across those vast distances.
Whitetails will be more cover oriented. They're going to be in the thick stuff. So when we're looking and glassing, you'll see a little bit of color. But the color's out of place, you keep looking at that, and a lot of times it'll turn into the curve of a hip or a piece of a shoulder. So when you're looking at this thick stuff, boy, you're looking for little pieces a lot of times and not whole deer.
Look right down in that brush, there's a doe feeding. And man, do you have to look to see that one. And now if you look really hard, you'll see some flickering motions of an ear. There's a fawn bedded behind her. That just goes to show how hard you have to glass and why you need really good optics to pick these things out. You have to have high contrast optics that are really sharp and hold them really still, because at least a little bit of motion, you miss that kind of stuff. With bucks, of course, you've got antlers. White antlers sticking up makes a big difference. You often see those before anything else. Hey Joe, I think I've got a pretty good buck. Looks really wide, pretty tall.
Yeah, those G4s are probably 3 inches long.
Yeah, that's a good buck. That's the best one we've seen so far, 5x5. Be hard to turn down. Want to run right over there and shoot him? Think we have time?
It's ugly down there.
It's getting dark too. How far down is it yet?
It's a long ways. We better head back up to the truck and we'll...
We checked his area, measured it, figured what might work the next day, and Joseph said we just need to come back here, find him in the morning while he's still feeding or moving into his bedding area, put him to bed, and then we can probably stalk him.
When we come back, Ron and Joseph scan and scour the Idaho high spots, looking to dial up a flying bee bruiser.
Joe, I got that buck. I think I've got our 5x5 from last night. Thought I heard a twig snap. You know, that's the tough part of whitetail hunting. We think we hear a twig snap. These deer hear us breathing. That old 6-inch ear sticking out there covers about 24 square inches of total ear surface to suck up that sound like a radar.
Whitetail expert Ron Spomer's on a glass and stalk hunt in northern Idaho, and he's kicking off day 2, scanning for the elusive shooter they located the evening before.
Oh, look at this. It's like an old movie in the bogs and the moors of Scotland.
Oh, that fog is lifting pretty quick now. We got to find that big 5-pointer. Got a nifty glimpse of him late last night, but I want to see because my impression was he was wide and he had really good long main beams. You think he could be way down in the bottom in that fog too?
Joseph has glassing nailed. He's learned it because of the terrain. He has to glass that way to be successful. And before the rut kicks in, when these deer aren't moving much, you can go into a drainage and hunt the traditional ways all day, and if there's not a buck in there, you're not going to find him. You get up on those high ridges, glass across, and see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drainages, maybe back another ridge or two, you're covering a heck of a lot more country. It's the most efficient way to hunt.
Hey, that's gorgeous.
It makes me want to turn into a landscape photographer. When I'm hunting, sometimes the scenery just overwhelms me and I drop the hunt and start taking pictures. I've got 33, 34 years in as a wildlife photographer and a writer. And part of my job, of course, when I'm hunting is to document everything, not just shooting the animal and there's your hero shot. So I try to keep my cameras handy and I grab those shots because light is fleeting and a gorgeous view 1 second can turn into a blah sky the next. Joe, where you going, man? Hey! Hey, Joe! What? You crazy? You're supposed to be a guide! Well, at least I'll get a picture out of it. You know, I've had guides leave me for a lot of reasons, but never that dramatically. That guy really wanted to quit.
The wide open terrain of the Flying Bee Ranch is breathtaking, and if Ron is going to take home a trophy, he'll have to shoot him from across one of these beautiful, deep canyons, making it ever so important to have the right equipment. Ron discusses the importance of having the right bullet on this installment of Going Ballistic.
spend all of our time and money thinking about rifles and optics, and we don't pay enough attention to that darn bullet. And there's a big difference in how you can kill a deer or not with the right bullet or the wrong one. In the old days, you put a piece of lead inside of a little copper tube, squeeze it together into the shape of a bullet, and you had what's called a cup and core bullet. The brass, the gilding metal, makes the cup and the lead makes the core. When you hit a deer with it at high velocity, those two pieces can often break apart, and then you lose momentum because you no longer have the original mass of the bullet. That's why in the old days they said use a heavier bullet for bigger animals. But with modern bullets, you really don't necessarily need that heavier bullet. You go to something like these Power Max bonded bullets from Winchester, and the lead is molecularly bonded to that gilding metal jacket. Those two pieces are not going to come apart, so it will retain 60–80% of its original weight. That gives it momentum to keep plowing through the animal even after it hits bone or major muscle groups like this one we pulled out of a deer from this year's show. So be careful in your bullet selection. That's the most significant part of how effectively you're going to take your whitetail.
Ram Outdoorsman is one heck of a truck. We want trucks for hunting because we need trucks for hunting. We're not just driving to the supermarket. When we pick up our meat, we've got to go places. And when you're hunting Rocky Mountain country like I live in, you need a truck with power. The Hemi engine in this Dodge Ram gets me up those mountains. I was really impressed. Goes wherever it needs to go with plenty of power. Through rocky streams, over big rocks and boulders, through the mud. I just didn't worry about it, and the truck pulled through every time.
Well, just off this edge over here, we'll be able to see that bench down below. Timber line right on it, and then open grass on the top.
Joe, I got that buck. I think I've got our 5x5 from last night. He's feeding on a hillside just above a horizontal white trail. Looks like there's an old foot trail. It's a bunch of white grass on it, and he's right along it.
Oh, I see. He's got a little bit of a rock wall right in front of him.
Got it. That's him.
Nice wide 5-point, real light colored. I think that's him.
That's him. Can we get him? It's a long ways down there.
We can try.
We've got about 35 minutes of legal shooting light.
Okay, as we go down, try not to roll any rocks, try not to make too much noise. He's gonna know we're here, but we're far enough away. I don't think we're gonna be a threat, so he should be okay.
Act like other deer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wag your tail.
Bend over and put your antlers up.
When we get down to about that bench right there, just where it starts to bench out, we're gonna have a good view of there, and we're gonna be about at his same level. So
same level, so we don't have to worry about the uphill, downhill
angle. It may take 20 minutes to get there.
Is he looking at us?
He's looking this way, but he's still comfortable.
Not looking spooky?
He's still eating. So
good.
He's eating, he's comfortable.
The adrenaline is pumping and the stalk is on. Will Ron get in range before he loses light? It's time to get locked and loaded when World of Whitetail returns.
386.
Here we go.
Winchester's World of Whitetail is brought to you by Winchester Ammunition, the American legend. Ram. There are a lot of places to go in this big wide world, and the new Ram Outdoorsman can get you to every one of them. Cabela's, celebrating 50 years as the world's foremost outfitter. Bushnell, magnify life. Dallas Safari Club, promoting conservation, education, and ethical hunting worldwide. Mossy Oak, it's not a passion, it's an obsession. Otis Technologies, the most advanced gun care systems in the world. And by Mule Deer Foundation, leader in mule deer and black-tailed deer conservation.
Ron Spomer's high in northern Idaho's Lewis and Clark country, where the wide open vistas mean spotting deer from miles away, then stalking long and hard to get in range, get a shot, and close the deal.
Uh-oh, I think I've got our buck. Yep, I think that's him at 5x5. That 5x5 was all last night late. Down there by that little yellow greenish bush.
It's now or never. We're maybe half hour from legal shooting light going down. Sun's hitting the horizon. We got to bail off that mountain and go down. These rolly rocks are killers. Oh, look out, Joe. I sort of anticipated that that buck would see us, but probably not spook. Just think about it. If you're in a canyon and these deer have lived there all their lives, they know a predator on this side of the canyon is not going to get to their side of the canyon, crossing that creek and going through all that brush. They're safe. So something could be 200-300 yards away and really not be that much of a threat.
We're getting close enough. Ron, right just on this bench right here.
Yeah, okay. On the bench. What's the range? Got that rangefinder?
Just a minute, just a minute.
Where is he? Oh, he's behind that bush.
He's looking at us, but he's relaxed.
All right.
386.
Okay, I see his antlers. He's got to come out from behind that bush. All right, we're live.
Hold right on his back line. When he comes out of that bush, here comes his nose, and he come. Here we go.
That's about the best you're gonna do.
I'm gonna take him. I just got his behind his shoulder. Did he hit?
No. Oh, yep.
I lost him.
He took about a dozen steps and then down he went.
Well, that should probably be a good lung heart shot, huh? We had dead calm, so I didn't have to worry about drift. Put the crosshair behind the shoulder, lifted the horizontal bar right above his back.
There's still nothing moving in that bush. He's dead in that bush.
I don't see anything moving. Boy, it's a major commitment to go over there and get him.
It's only 386 yards.
What the hey? Put on your wings, let's go over. Well, look how far down we've got to go. It's going to be pitch black the time we get over there.
You know, there's a lot of bluffs, and once you get below the bluffs, it's rock slides, so we're not going to go that way at all. We're going to go back up to the truck, and we'll get him in the morning. It was frost last night, and the forecast is for more frost.
The meat going to be all right leaving out all night?
Oh, yeah. As long as it's going to be cool at night, I'm comfortable with it.
Accurate shooting, precision shooting at any distance, but especially at long range, requires stability. So you want to get down and use whatever you can to steady your aim. A stick like this with two legs is going to give you excellent support. All you need to do then is control your back half. I like to use an inanimate object like a rock or a cliff, or in this case, the old backpack. Good reason to carry that pack. Now I'm extra steady. I don't think many of us think about cliffs and dry slopes when we're thinking about whitetails, but boy, here in Idaho, look at this country. We shot last night from that cliff face up on that dry slope, and that's part of the reason we're down here this morning instead of last night, because that is some brutal terrain, and you could break a leg or twist an ankle and be in big trouble, even though we're only about 4 or 5 miles from the lodge. Onward and upward, boss.
Okay, rather than going through those roses, let's plow through this dead stuff.
After you, Alphonse.
I wouldn't follow too close. Looks like it's about to get steep again.
Uh-huh. I'm not making any progress here, Joe. Ah! Ugh.
We're close now. He's right here.
Oh, we're getting close here. This is looking familiar. Yeah, there's the bluff.
So if that was the trail, then where he was standing was right here.
Right below you. Those shrubs right below you was where he was eating, because it was like the second to the last shrub he was feeding on. I'll bet you it's right in front of you.
That scuff, that scuff.
Oh, sure. There's his scuff marks right there, right? Far down there, Joe.
He comes around here. There's still scuff marks. So he would have jumped from right up there.
He made a big jump.
And there's a foot.
There's the deer. He is as wide as I thought he was. Look at that. That is a nice buck. Look at this. Beautiful. Exit wound is right behind the shoulder. That's got to have gone through the heart. Right over the top of the heart. No wonder he died so fast. That's a nice little rock on him. Beautiful 5'5", beautifully balanced.
Lean beams come out pretty well.
I'll bet you he's not going to be a couple, 3 inches off on any of his score. Now the real adventure begins.
I think we're about to break a sweat. If we didn't on the way up, we are about to now.
During our hunt in Washington State, I noted that the world of whitetail is wide and deep, but whoa, Idaho here at the Flying Bee Ranch in Lawyer Canyon has really shown us just how wide and deep and steep it really is. Out here, standard whitetail techniques don't necessarily work, but this glassing from far, far distances, as much as 2 miles away, to locate your buck and then stalk him, that's what seems to work. You've got to roll with what's working on Winchester's World of Whitetail.